You knew exactly what you were doing, Vanessa.
You're lying.
Your mother told me everything. I wasn't involved. The terms haven't changed. But my position has. This stops now. The truth has been exposed, Vanessa. Your deception ends here. I can't believe this. Why would you do this?
Mother, what do we do now?
Michael, integrity matters. You deserve better. You have both learned a difficult lesson today. We understand. Thank you, Mother.
We are truly sorry.
Are you sure you're invited here? Eleanor's voice caught in her throat as the doorman peered down at her with polite suspicion. His eyes scanning her worn coat and the modest dress that clung to her frame, a stark contrast to the glittering attire of the wedding guests streaming past the entrance of the grand ballroom in the New York City hotel where her son's wedding was about to begin, the towering windows reflecting the late afternoon sunlight and glinting off the chandeliers inside, illuminating a scene of wealth and celebration she had once inhabited yet now approached in anonymity. Her steps hesitant but determined as she clutched the small leather bag that contained only a few personal items and the documents she had intended to review later in privacy. Blending into the crowd of friends, family, and strangers while keeping her eyes on the familiar faces of her son, Michael, and his fiancée Vanessa, whose laughter carried across the hall like music Eleanor remembered from past gatherings yet now sounded sharper, tinged with ambition and calculation. The air scented with fresh roses and the faint aroma of champagne. The waitstaff moving efficiently among the tables laden with silver trays and crystal glasses. Unaware of the presence of the woman they assumed to be a last-minute guest, Eleanor's mind racing as she recalled the countless times she had guided her family's fortunes, the power she had wielded in boardrooms and living rooms alike. And yet here she was, masked by simplicity, observing the delicate social ballet from the periphery, noting the subtle interactions, the hidden glances, the whispered words exchanged behind curtains, each detail a puzzle piece revealing the true nature of those who called themselves her kin. Her heartbeat quickening when she overheard Vanessa giving instructions to the staff with a mix of authority and veiled contempt, the words hinting at plans to secure a future built on manipulation rather than merit. Eleanor's eyes narrowing as she considered the quiet lesson she intended to impart through her presence. A test disguised as mere attendance, measuring loyalty, respect, and honesty under the guise of ordinary circumstance, the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses forming a backdrop to her silent observation as she slowly navigated toward a corner with the best vantage point. All the while her mind cataloging every expression, every gesture, knowing that within the next few hours, revelations would unfold, secrets would surface, and the ordinary appearance she bore would grant her the unique opportunity to witness the unvarnished truth of hearts around her. Her steps deliberate, her posture composed, yet the tension in her shoulders betrayed the anticipation building inside. Eleanor Whitmore, a woman of wealth and influence, reduced to the guise of simplicity, preparing to enter a story that would test character, reveal intentions, and ultimately reshape the understanding of family and inheritance in a single afternoon. All while maintaining the outward calm and serenity that had become her signature, as she quietly whispered to herself, "Let's see who they really are." Eleanor slowly made her way toward the far corner of the ballroom, her eyes scanning the room for the subtle interactions that would reveal the true intentions of those around her. The soft hum of conversation and the delicate clinking of glassware providing a background that contrasted sharply with the tension building within her as she noticed Vanessa directing a server to adjust the seating arrangement, her voice carrying a mixture of charm and authority. The way she spoke to the staff, revealing more than casual instruction, hints of impatience and control threading through each word. Eleanor observed Michael across the room, his attention split between greeting guests and ensuring the flow of the event, unaware of the undercurrents shaping the day around him, the sunlight streaming through the tall windows catching the edge of Eleanor's modest dress and casting a subtle glow that seemed to illuminate her presence even as she remained unnoticed, her senses attuned to every glance, every gesture, noting how certain family members leaned in closer when discussing arrangements for the inheritance. The whispered words and fleeting smirks speaking volumes about their character. Eleanor allowed herself a quiet smile, understanding that this carefully crafted disguise was granting her a unique vantage point to witness the truth. She adjusted the strap of her small leather bag and shifted slightly, positioning herself to catch the conversation between Vanessa and her mother. Their tones light on the surface but underlined with ambition and concealed intentions, the discussion revealing plans to control the estate, to leverage relationships, and to ensure that any benefit would fall squarely in the hands of those willing to manipulate circumstances to their advantage. Eleanor's mind catalogued each revelation, recognizing the patterns and the subtle signals of deception. She noted how the laughter of some guests was tinged with nervousness, how certain smiles did not reach the eyes, and how even seemingly casual remarks contained veiled implications, the ambient music rising and falling as the band played a gentle melody. Eleanor's attention remained fixed, analyzing, interpreting, and mentally preparing for the moment she would reveal her identity. Her posture composed and deliberate, maintaining the appearance of an unassuming guest while her mind worked tirelessly to piece together the full picture of loyalty, honesty, and character among her family and their closest associates. Every detail contributing to the plan she had been nurturing in secret, a silent test of integrity and respect. As she sipped from her water glass, pretending to adjust her seat, while inside, anticipation coursed through her, knowing that the forthcoming hours would uncover truths long obscured, that the reactions of those around her would determine who deserved trust, who had failed, and who might yet be given a second chance under the watchful eye of Eleanor Whitmore, all while maintaining the calm demeanor and subtle grace that had always defined her presence in any room she entered, her observation sharp, her patience unyielding, quietly whispering to herself under her breath. Every move tells the story. As the guests settled into their seats and the first course was served, Eleanor quietly rose from her table and moved toward a hallway that connected the ballroom to a private terrace overlooking the city skyline, her instincts telling her that the most important conversations were rarely held in the center of a celebration. And as she approached the partially open terrace doors, familiar voices drifted through the evening air, causing her to stop without making a sound. Vanessa was standing beside her mother near the railing, both holding glasses of sparkling water while speaking with a confidence that suggested they believed nobody could hear them. Once the wedding is over, everything becomes much easier, Vanessa said with a small laugh. Michael still thinks this is all about building a life together, but he has no idea how much influence comes with his family name. Her mother nodded approvingly and asked whether Michael knew about the financial agreements she had arranged. Vanessa smiled and shook her head, explaining that some things were better handled after the ceremony, adding that once certain documents were finalized, she would have far more control than anyone expected. Eleanor felt a chill despite the warm summer evening, not because of the words themselves, but because of the casual manner in which they were spoken, as though marriage were merely another business transaction. She listened carefully as Vanessa continued, describing future plans that focused less on family and more on assets, influence, and access, each sentence revealing a mindset that valued opportunity above loyalty. Then came a statement that caused Eleanor's heart to sink even further. Vanessa admitted that she had never expected Michael's mother to remain involved for much longer, suggesting that age would eventually remove obstacles and leave the next generation in complete control. Her mother responded with quiet amusement, asking whether any revisions to the family estate might create complications. Vanessa confidently replied that she doubted anyone would make significant changes because most wealthy families followed predictable patterns, and that confidence concerned Eleanor more than any insult could have, because it revealed not only entitlement but certainty, a belief that the future had already been secured. Just then, footsteps echoed down the hallway, and both women immediately changed their tone as another guest approached, their conversation transforming into polite discussion about flowers, travel plans, and honeymoon destinations. The shift was so sudden and practiced that it confirmed everything Eleanor had suspected. She remained hidden for a few moments longer before quietly stepping back into the hallway, her expression calm even as disappointment settled heavily within her. Returning toward the ballroom, she noticed Michael speaking with guests, smiling warmly, completely unaware of the conversations taking place behind closed doors. And for the first time that evening, Eleanor began to wonder whether her son was not a willing participant in these ambitions, but another person being carefully managed by them. As she reached her seat again, her phone vibrated inside her handbag. She glanced at the screen and saw a message from Daniel Brooks. asking if they could speak privately before the reception ended. Eleanor locked the screen without replying, her mind already racing through possibilities, because the truth she had uncovered was troubling enough. Yet something told her the evening still held secrets far larger than the ones she had just overheard. Eleanor returned to the ballroom, her senses heightened, the soft strains of the string quartet filling the air as guests mingled and laughter floated over the clinking of glasses. She carefully positioned herself near a tall pillar that offered a clear view of Vanessa as she interacted with the catering staff and whispered instructions to several relatives. The confidence in Vanessa's posture and the precise timing of her gestures indicating a level of planning that went far beyond ordinary. Wedding coordination, Eleanor's eyes followed each movement, noting subtle expressions, fleeting smiles, and the occasional sharp glance, all of which revealed hidden intentions and the undercurrents of ambition running beneath the surface. She sipped her water slowly, pretending to adjust her seat. Yet her mind catalogued every detail, imagining how these interactions would affect the unfolding of the evening and the distribution of assets. After the ceremony, then Daniel Brooks appeared at the edge of the room, moving discreetly toward Eleanor with a sense of urgency. His presence alone confirming that the matters at hand were serious and that the plans being discussed in private could have significant ramifications. Eleanor subtly nodded at him, signaling that she was aware of the need for discretion, while keeping her focus on Vanessa, who had now engaged Michael in conversation near the head table. Her words polite and seemingly innocent, yet Eleanor had already understood the weight of what had been discussed on the terrace, each statement calculated to secure advantage and minimize oversight. The juxtaposition of lighthearted dialogue with underlying strategy struck Eleanor as both predictable and revealing. She observed as guests complimented Vanessa on her choices, unaware of the covert motives shaping each decision. The champagne flowed and the aroma of freshly prepared hors d'oeuvres mingled with the scent of roses from the centerpieces, providing a serene backdrop to a complex web of social maneuvering. Eleanor reflected on the subtle power dynamics, recognizing how easily perception could be manipulated and how critical her next moves would be to ensure that truth and fairness prevailed. As she moved closer to the head table under the guise of greeting other guests, she could overhear Vanessa casually mention to Michael that certain family agreements would be adjusted following the ceremony, a comment meant to sound inconsequential but loaded with implications about control and inheritance. Eleanor's attention sharpened, noting the reactions of those nearby, some exchanging fleeting glances while others maintained polite expressions masking curiosity or concern. She calculated the precise timing and manner in which she would confront these hidden ambitions, knowing that observation alone was not enough, and as the reception continued, Eleanor prepared mentally to step from the shadows of anonymity into a position where her presence, knowledge, and authority would inevitably alter the course of the evening. The quiet thrill of anticipation mixed with determination as she whispered under her breath, "It is time to see who truly deserves trust." Eleanor took a slow, deliberate walk toward the center of the ballroom, her eyes fixed on Vanessa as she animatedly discussed seating arrangements with several guests, the laughter and polite chatter creating a veneer of celebration that masked the intricate maneuvers of influence and control occurring around her. Eleanor's mind catalogued each interaction, noting how Vanessa subtly guided conversations to favor her perspective, how she positioned herself to intercept potential objections, and how her gestures and tone conveyed confidence without revealing the underlying calculations. Eleanor paused near the buffet table, where servers moved briskly between guests, carrying trays of hors d'oeuvres and glasses of wine, using the moment to observe more closely as Vanessa whispered instructions to a relative about handling certain family documents. Eleanor's heart quickened at the implication that these documents could alter the intended course of inheritance. She remained calm, externally, adjusting her modest coat and ensuring that her presence appeared inconspicuous while internally preparing for the precise timing of intervention. Michael stood nearby, engaging in polite conversation and offering smiles to relatives and friends, entirely unaware of the subtle manipulations unfolding around him. Eleanor noted the fleeting glances exchanged between Vanessa and her mother, a silent confirmation that their plans were aligned and that the casual demeanor they presented was a carefully maintained illusion. The soft lighting from the chandeliers reflected off crystal glasses, casting delicate patterns across the polished floors and enhancing the impression of opulence, while Eleanor's focused gaze captured every nuance. every calculated pause and strategic smile. She recognized the importance of acting at the right moment, observing the interplay of ambition, loyalty, and perception, cataloging each detail for later use in determining who truly deserved the trust and attention that the estate represented. As she moved subtly closer to the head table under the pretense of greeting a guest, she caught Vanessa commenting in a hushed tone to another family member that everything will fall into place after the ceremony. A seemingly innocent remark that concealed the depth of her intentions to consolidate control over assets. Eleanor absorbed every word, noting the reactions of the surrounding guests, some exchanging brief, knowing looks while others remained politely detached. And in that moment she understood that observation alone would not suffice to safeguard fairness and integrity. She needed to be present, engaged, and poised to reveal her authority at the critical juncture. A silent strategy forming in her mind as she whispered under her breath. The test begins now, and every move they make will be remembered. Eleanor lingered near the head table, her eyes never leaving Vanessa as she continued orchestrating the event with a confident air that masked the subtle power plays at work. The soft murmur of conversation and the gentle strains of the string quartet forming a harmonious backdrop to the intricate social dynamics she observed. Each interaction carefully catalogued in Eleanor's mind, noting the fleeting glances, the slight hesitation in certain responses, and the way Vanessa maneuvered family members into positions that would strengthen her influence. Eleanor sipped from her glass, allowing herself to appear casual while mentally preparing for the moment she would step from observer to participant. She watched as Michael leaned toward Vanessa, offering reassurance and warmth, entirely unaware of the covert schemes being discussed behind his back. Eleanor's gaze shifted to Daniel Brooks as he discreetly approached, signaling that it was time to advance the plan. The evening air thick with anticipation, the chandeliers casting soft golden light that glimmered across polished surfaces and crystal glasses, highlighting the elegance of the setting while masking the tension simmering beneath. Eleanor noticed a conversation between Vanessa and a cousin that revealed further details about the intended consolidation of wealth and control after the ceremony. The words were casual but loaded with implication, demonstrating how carefully Vanessa had calculated each step. Eleanor's pulse quickened not from fear but from the clarity of understanding. She saw the network of influence being woven around her family, the subtle manipulations that could easily be missed by anyone less observant. She adjusted her posture to remain inconspicuous while sharpening her focus, recognizing that timing and precision were essential for the forthcoming confrontation. The music swelled and dipped, providing a rhythmic underscore to the unfolding drama. Eleanor noted the reactions of surrounding guests, some offering polite smiles, others exchanging subtle, knowing looks that hinted at awareness of hidden motives. She cataloged every detail, each movement, each whispered exchange, planning how to reveal the truth in a manner that would be both decisive and illuminating. And as she quietly whispered to herself, "The pieces are in place, and the moment to act approaches," Eleanor felt a calm determination settle over her, knowing that her observations and patience had positioned her to not only uncover the intentions of those around her, but to guide the outcome toward fairness, integrity, and a measured resolution that would honor those who had shown honesty and respect while exposing those who had sought to manipulate and control, all while maintaining the serene and composed exterior that had always been her signature presence in any room she entered. Eleanor stepped closer to the main table, her gaze unwavering as she prepared to confront the subtle manipulations she had observed throughout the evening. Vanessa, unaware of Eleanor's awareness, continued her confident demeanor, speaking to a group of guests about seating and future plans with a voice that was polite on the surface yet carried the unmistakable undertone of control. Eleanor allowed a gentle smile to cross her face as she slowly approached, her presence still appearing unassuming to all but the most attentive eyes. She positioned herself beside the table, quietly observing Vanessa's interactions, noting the small gestures and expressions that revealed both ambition and impatience. Then, as Vanessa turned to speak to Michael, Eleanor spoke in a calm but firm voice, drawing the attention of the room with the clarity and authority that had always marked her presence. "Vanessa, I believe some clarifications are necessary," she said, and for a brief moment, the laughter and chatter faded into silence as the weight of her words settled over the guests. Vanessa froze, the confident smile faltering as she recognized the voice and the authority behind it. Eleanor continued, her eyes meeting Vanessa's with an unflinching gaze. It appears that not all plans and intentions have been made transparent, and the subtle murmurs of the guests shifted to quiet astonishment, some exchanging glances, others leaning forward to hear more. Eleanor observed every reaction, the room's energy shifting from casual celebration to tense anticipation. She noted the tightening of shoulders, the slight falter in polite smiles, and the change in posture as Vanessa's carefully constructed facade began to crumble. Eleanor spoke again, articulating with clarity the observations she had made, the private conversation she had overheard, and the implications of the actions Vanessa and her associates had taken. Michael looked between his mother and fiancée, confusion and concern mixing in his expression, and the guests, sensing the unfolding drama, became fully engaged. Eleanor's measured tone carried authority without malice, emphasizing fairness and truth while exposing the hidden ambitions, the ambient lighting catching the shimmer of crystal glasses and reflecting softly. Across the polished floor, Eleanor maintained her composed exterior, each movement deliberate, each pause calculated to maximize attention and understanding. She watched as Vanessa's confidence waned, replaced by a mixture of surprise and apprehension. The once casual demeanor replaced with a visible awareness of accountability. Eleanor's focus never wavered, cataloging each reaction, each whispered word and glance, ensuring that the truth was clear and undeniable to all present. And as she concluded her measured observations, she allowed a brief, controlled pause, letting the weight of honesty and integrity settle across the room, whispering to herself inwardly, "Now they see who truly holds the understanding of respect and family." The silence that followed felt heavier than any speech that had been given that evening. Guests remained frozen in their seats as Eleanor stood calmly beside the head table, her modest clothing no longer defining how people saw her, because the confidence in her voice had already begun to reveal what appearances had concealed. Vanessa attempted a nervous smile and quickly insisted that there had been a misunderstanding, claiming that private conversations could easily be taken out of context. But before she could continue, Daniel Brooks stepped forward from the back of the ballroom, carrying a slim leather portfolio that immediately drew the attention of several family members who recognized him. Whispers spread across the room as people realized that Daniel was not merely another guest, but the attorney who had represented Eleanor's interests for nearly 2 decades. Michael looked visibly confused, his eyes moving from his mother to Daniel and then to Vanessa, struggling to understand how an ordinary wedding reception had transformed into a moment of revelation. Daniel approached Eleanor respectfully and handed her the portfolio, his gesture alone causing several guests to exchange concerned glances. Eleanor accepted it and then turned toward the room, her expression neither angry nor triumphant, but deeply disappointed. She explained that she had attended the wedding in simple clothing because she wanted to observe how people treated someone they believed had no status, no influence, and no financial value to offer. A wave of discomfort moved through the crowd as many replayed their own interactions with her throughout the evening, some lowering their eyes as they remembered ignoring her, while others recalled brief acts of kindness that now seemed more significant than they had realized at the time. Eleanor then revealed that Daniel had contacted her earlier because a major family trust was awaiting final instructions, one worth more than $40 million. The number landed like a thunderclap across the ballroom. Several guests gasped while others stared in disbelief. Vanessa's face lost its remaining color. Michael took a slow step backward, clearly hearing that figure for the first time. Eleanor continued speaking, explaining that the trust had never been guaranteed to any individual, and that its future depended entirely on character, responsibility, and respect, not entitlement. Then Daniel opened the portfolio and produced several documents, confirming that no final decision had yet been made regarding the distribution of the assets. The revelation changed everything, because the future Vanessa believed had already been secured was suddenly uncertain. Guests who had quietly supported her ambitions now avoided eye contact, realizing how much had been assumed without being earned. Michael finally found his voice and asked his mother why she had never told him about the trust. Eleanor looked at him with sadness rather than judgment and explained that true character is revealed when people believe nobody is watching and when kindness offers no reward. The room fell silent once more as those words settled over everyone present. And in that moment Vanessa began to understand that the greatest danger she faced was not the loss of money, but the exposure of intentions she had believed would remain hidden forever. Eleanor took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the room's attention settle fully upon her as she began to articulate the decisions she had reached after observing the evening's events. She explained that the trust and family assets would be allocated not based on assumption, entitlement, or manipulation, but on demonstrated respect, honesty, and integrity. The guests listened in stunned silence as Eleanor outlined how those who had acted with kindness, transparency, and care toward others, regardless of wealth or status, would be recognized and rewarded, while those who had attempted to seize advantage through deceit or coercion would find that their expectations were unmet. Vanessa, realizing that the carefully constructed image she had presented was now insufficient, faltered in her posture, the confident mask slipping as she struggled to find words to defend her actions. Michael stepped forward, his expression a mixture of relief and understanding. Finally, comprehending the true lesson his mother had sought to convey, Eleanor continued, emphasizing that wealth without character was hollow, and that the most valuable inheritance was the knowledge that trust and virtue ultimately guide the distribution of opportunity. Daniel Brooks presented the final documents, confirming that Eleanor's instructions were now formally recorded, and the murmurs of the guests grew, a combination of admiration, shock, and reflection sweeping through the room. Some family members lowered their eyes, realizing the missteps they had made. Others offered tentative smiles of support, recognizing the fairness and clarity Eleanor had provided. Eleanor's gaze softened as she addressed Michael directly, explaining that while the trust would provide security and opportunity, the lessons of integrity, patience, and observation were far more important than any financial gain. The room's atmosphere shifted from tension to contemplation, the string quartet's gentle music underscoring the transformative moment. Eleanor concluded by encouraging all present to reflect on the values they exhibited and the choices they would make in the future. Vanessa remained silent, absorbing the magnitude of the revelation and the fact that her actions had tangible consequences, while Michael nodded appreciatively, finally understanding the depth of his mother's wisdom and the meaning behind her seemingly simple attendance at the wedding. The guests began to acknowledge one another with renewed awareness, recognizing that appearances could deceive but character could not. And as Eleanor quietly stepped back, allowing the room to settle into a thoughtful, respectful silence, she felt a profound sense of resolution, knowing that justice, clarity, and emotional healing had been achieved, that those who deserved recognition received it, and that the evening had provided a powerful lesson in integrity and the enduring importance of ethical action in the midst of celebration and family gathering.
Before you leave, take a moment to reflect the lesson behind the story. Many people spend their life chasing status, recognition, and wealth. Yet, the person who leaves the deepest impact are often the one who never feel the need to prove their worth. Eleanor entered the ballroom looking like an ordinary woman. The moment others believe she has nothing to offer, they reveal who they truly were. Some ignore her, some underestimate her, and some judge her by her appearance. But true character reveal when they have nothing to gain. When there is nothing to gain. The way we treat strangers, employees, or older adults. And those who powerless say more than us about any titles, bank account, or a social status ever could. But money can change hand, business can rise or fall. But integrity, kindness, and respect endure long after the success fades. So ask yourself this: if someone met you today without knowing your wealth, your position, or achievement, how would they remember you? Because the true measure of a person is not what they own, but how they treat the others when no one sees. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment below. Thank you.